You've been told your whole life that something is wrong with you. You can't fall asleep when normal people do. You feel foggy at 9 a.m. when everyone else seems fine. But then, somewhere around 10, 11 p.m., something shifts. Your brain lights up. Ideas start flowing. You feel more yourself than you do at any point in the day. And every single morning, someone tells you to fix it. But what if there's nothing to fix? What if the reason you come alive at night is 300,000 years old, and the people who had it were the ones keeping everyone else alive? Right now, in 2026, being a night owl is basically treated as a character flaw. You're lazy, undisciplined, can't manage your time. Society built everything, school start times, office hours, doctor's appointments, around one type of person, the early riser, the morning person. And if you're not that person, the world makes you feel broken. But here's what nobody tells you. For 99% of human history, there were no alarm clocks, no office hours, no 9 a.m. meetings. And in that world, the world your biology was actually built for, the way your brain is wired wasn't a problem. It was a job. Picture a camp roughly 70,000 years ago, somewhere in what is now East Africa. About 25 people, one fire, absolute darkness beyond that 30-foot circle of light. And out there in the dark, predators, lions, hyenas, other groups of humans who weren't friendly. The group needs to sleep, but if everyone sleeps at the same time, they die. Someone has to stay awake. Someone has to watch. Now here's the problem. You can't force someone to stay awake and alert for hours in the middle of the night if their brain naturally wants to shut down. That person will doze off. And if they doze off, everyone dies. So what did evolution do? It kept some people's brains running on a different schedule. A 2019 study published in the Royal Society Open Science looked at sleep patterns in the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies on Earth, and what they found was remarkable. At any given moment during the night, across the entire group, there were on average only 18 minutes when every single person was asleep at the same time. 18 minutes out of an 8-hour night, because the group's sleep schedules were naturally staggered. Early risers, middle sleepers, and late nighters all distributed across the night like a biological alarm system, with people like you holding down the final shift. The researchers called it Sentinel hypothesis. The tribe didn't need to assign guards. Evolution had already built the man. You were built in.
So why does your brain actually behave differently at night? It's not discipline or habit or caffeine dependence. It's genetics. Researchers at the University of California found that night owls have a longer circadian period than morning people, meaning your internal biological clock runs on roughly a 24.5 to 25-hour cycle, rather than the standard 24. Your brain's natural rhythm is slightly out of sync with the planet's rotation, and that's not a glitch. Every generation that survived long enough to pass on genes needed people on that offset schedule. There's also a gene called PER3. Morning people tend to have a longer version of it. Night owls tend to have a shorter one. This gene controls the timing of melatonin release, the hormone that makes you sleepy. In night owls, it releases later, which means your body isn't malfunctioning when you can't sleep at 10 p.m. It's following a different, equally ancient, equally valid genetic program. And here's where it gets really interesting. A separate line of research found that night owls don't just stay awake longer. They show higher alertness, faster reaction times, and stronger working memory specifically in the late evening hours. In one study, morning types peaked in cognitive performance around noon. Night owls peaked between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. In other words, you're not just awake at night, you're sharper at night. Exactly when a sentinel needs to be. Now, here's the part that might make you angry. For thousands of years, your biology was an asset. You were the person the tribe depended on. The one who caught the sound in the dark when everyone else was unconscious. The one who saw the shadows moving at the edge of the firelight. Then, about 200 years ago, the Industrial Revolution happened. Factories needed workers at 6 a.m. Schools were designed to produce factory workers. Office culture followed, and suddenly, for the first time in human history, one chronotype was declared correct and yours was declared a problem. The world didn't change to fit human biology. It changed to fit a machine schedule and then told human biology to keep up. Every time you felt ashamed for hitting snooze, for not being a morning person, for feeling half dead at 8 a.m., that shame was manufactured. It was invented 200 years ago by people who needed bodies in factories before sunrise. Your ancestors kept watch for 300,000 years. The factory has been here for 200.
So what do you do with this? First, understand that you are not fighting laziness. You are fighting a 200-year-old industrial schedule with a 300,000-year-old biological clock. And the clock is going to win every time because it is written into your DNA at the cellular level. You cannot willpower your way out of your chronotype any more than you can willpower your way to being taller. Second, if you have any control over your schedule, use it. Research consistently shows that when night owls are allowed to work on their natural schedule, starting later, working later, their productivity, mental health, and even physical health outcomes improve dramatically. This isn't preference, it's physiology.
Third, and this is the most important one, stop apologizing for when you are most alive. Every person who has ever looked at you sideways for sleeping in, for doing your best work at midnight, for staring at the ceiling at 11 p.m. when you're supposed to be asleep, they were measuring you against a standard that has only existed for 0.07% of human history. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are running the night watch. The next time you feel that familiar click, that moment somewhere around 10 p.m. when your brain suddenly comes online and everything gets clearer, don't fight it. That's not insomnia. That's not disorder. That's 300,000 years of evolution handing you the torch and saying, we need someone to watch the dark. You've been doing it your whole life. You just didn't know why.